So coming back to memory again, so if any student who is just starting out his career in VLSI, especially in memory design, let's say, so how should he or she go about choosing their path in memory design? I mean, there are several areas that they could work upon. Let's say even we have memory controllers as well. So how should he or she should go about?
So see, I would not keep the answer limited to memory design or memory controllers. I would rather give a broader answer to this, Neeraj, because I know that in your audience, very few people will finally go into memory design. But what I'm going to tell is not limited to memory design, but about anyone starting a career, and that too not just in VLSI. Wherever you are starting a career, I can probably give you a few tips around that, because I've worked in the industry for reasonably long and have mentored hundreds of interns and new joinees, and I think I can probably give you some pointers onto what is important to take care of when you when you start a career. The one thing that I would say is that the first few years of your career, they are going to be a very, very steep learning experience. Whether you are pursuing a BTech program, or you are pursuing an MTech program, or you are pursuing a PhD, or even if you have done a postdoctorate, I assure you that once you join the industry, the learning curve is going to be steep. If you approach work with an attitude that I know it all, I don't need to learn anything new, you are stunting yourself. So the first and foremost, the most important thing that has to be taken into consideration is that you have to be open to learn. Frankly, even though I say that at IIIT Delhi, we train our students to be industry ready, they can go and contribute from day one onwards. That is truth. There's nothing hiding from the fact. We actually train the students on the latest tools, the industry standard tools. We give them the projects that I just mentioned about. So while we do all that, even then, when you join the industry, there is a huge learning curve. So I tell all my students that, see, until you are a student, you are paying a fee. You are a customer. As soon as you join the industry, now you are getting paid. So you transition from being a customer to being a vendor. Till the time you are in school or in college, someone else has some responsibility of your learning to ensure that you learn. As soon as you join the industry, that responsibility lies solely on you. Not just that, it is not just about your growth that the responsibility lies on you. On you also lies the responsibility that you have to deliver an output to the company that is paying you. Someone is paying you a hefty amount of money for doing what you're doing, and you better deliver. So the first few years involve a lot of learning and involve a lot of hard work. Don't hesitate to put in long hours. I remember in the beginning of the first few years, I would put up to 12 hours, 14 hours a day in my office. And it was no big thing. Okay, over time, as my responsibilities at home increased, family responsibilities, and then other things that I am involved in, those responsibilities increased. I brought it down to something like 10 and then 9 and then, the regular working hours. But initial few years, don't hesitate to put in that extra time, that extra energy, because you do not have much responsibilities around you yet. And you can actually leverage your time to learn more, to experiment more, to fail more. Don't be afraid of failing. It is only through failure that you will learn. And very importantly, do not compete, but strive to collaborate. See, all through our education system, from class 1 onwards, wherever the school gives ranks, wherever the institutions give ranks, your parents kind of hammer it into you. Bache first aana, you have to come first in your class. Oh, tum first nahi aaye, who came first? How far behind are you? So much of hammering of first is done that we never teach collaboration to our students. We are undoing that in IIIT Delhi. So at IIIT Delhi, all the projects that I do, there are more than 3 or 4 people working on the project, so that you learn how to collaborate. And that is the way you will finally get to work in any industry team also. There are big teams that go about to deliver what needs to be delivered. It is never an individual effort. It is never an individual output there. And this teamwork you have to learn. And to learn this teamwork, first thing that you need to do is you need to leave aside that spirit of competition. And you need to bring in a spirit of collaboration, that I will work together with my friends and both of us will grow together. Instead of, oh, if that person grows, then that person is taking away my opportunities. No, please do not operate from this scarcity mentality. As I mentioned, in VLSI industry, we are at the cusp where there is going to be exponential growth. And as a matter of fact, in any industry, if we are good, if we are growing faster and and we are learning more every passing day, there's no dearth of opportunities for anyone. Even in the industry where there are very few jobs, it is only by learning, reinventing yourself, and collaborating with others that you will assure a job for yourself. So these are some things that every student should always keep in mind. Every student, meaning मैं कहूँगा, I would say anyone who is starting a career, changing a job, or doing anything like that, there's no replacement for hard work. There is no replacement for perseverance, and there is also no replacement for collaboration in the knowledge society. In the knowledge society, if you do not collaborate, you fall behind. So you better collaborate and learn from each other. You cannot fail every time all by yourself. You learn from, when you collaborate with others, you also learn from other people's failures. And that is how you grow faster. So again, as I said, it would be unfair to advise only memory designers somewhere. I think anyone who joins any workforce, they should take care of these things. I hope my answer helps.
Yes, sir. It's quite helpful. In fact, the approach which you have taken, it should help many students in clearing many doubts in their mind when they are just starting out their career. Even some students, they overthink when it comes to their career options. So the answer which you just gave should help them definitely. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. And
thank you.
Yes, sir. So a couple of more questions before we call it a day. So we know that recently India is very active in talks about VLSI, and it has also started a Chips to Startup program, and India semiconductor mission is also on the rise. So what do you think about VLSI startups, especially in coming 5 years, let's say, near future? And how do you think India would grow in VLSI as a whole?
So I'm pretty excited about the prospects, Neeraj. The first set of startups that I expect to happen would be in embedded systems. At least this is my personal view. I feel that embedded systems are a low-cost entry. Like the entry barrier in embedded system-based startups is not that high. When you talk of a chip design or an IP design-based startup, the entry barriers are relatively higher. So if you are thinking of ideas, IoT ideas, and system design ideas, I think those are the startups that should start pretty soon, anytime now. Okay, there are many, but I think with the rich crop of engineers that we have, a large audience that you have for your channel, I think that we can do much more. In terms of embedded system startups, we use existing available microcontrollers, existing and available evaluation boards. I know that every microprocessor company has their evaluation boards, which if you simply stack one over the other, just like Arduino, you stack them one over the other and you have an industrial kind of a design ready.
Yeah.
You should be able to provide. Yeah, you should be able to prototype and get a proof of concept ready within just 2 or 3 days. That kind of availability is there. So and I see that people are not utilizing this as much as they can. So that is the first set of startups in electronics and system design that I expect to happen. Then there will be startups, and there are already startups in terms of service companies and in terms of IP design. So service company kind of startups already exist. There are many. More will come. But IP design, they will gradually rise up the value chain and start to do IP design by themselves and add more value. I still think that a final SOC design startup is a little distant. So you could have startups working on that, but then you will realize that those startups are not entirely based out of India yet. You will have startups which came up in the US and they then have offices in India. So those kind of startups would already and will continue to do chip design. But to say that India-based chip design will happen and the ecosystem will be there, I think there is still some time to go for that. But yes, it will happen. I'm sure it will happen. We are training our students so that it happens. It will happen, and it's just a matter of time. But the first wave of startups should be around embedded systems.
Yes, sir. In fact, it's a matter of time, as you're saying. And what are your comments on chip manufacturing? We have recently known that Vedanta is investing in a plant in Gujarat, reportedly. So what do you say about chip manufacturing in India, and how should India approach manufacturing? I mean, the technology nodes that India should work upon starting out.
Yeah. So see, I understand that you and I want to talk about 5 nanometer and 7 nanometer. But the explosive growth of VLSI is not because of 5 nanometer or 7 nanometer. The explosive growth of VLSI is because of, let us say, availability of sensors, which is because of very cheap, dirt cheap chips which could be put in electric bulbs, LED bulbs, and so on. And these are things which scale pretty big. Every house would have at least a few bulbs, would have a few lights, and they do not require 7 nanometer technology. They do not require 5 nanometer technology. That doesn't mean India doesn't need to go there, but that is not the place where we should even think of starting. I personally believe that India can do well by starting at a reasonably mature node, let us say 28 nanometers, and first learn and build capacity around it. Once you're stable in a mature node, then you can simultaneously do R&D, simultaneously develop more advanced technologies. But once you're stable, once you're active in a mature node, that is when there is a possibility of growth beyond it. So I think that more mature technologies where uncertainty due to defectivity is low, where the process is mature and deployed across the world, that is the place where we can enter. It is low risk. The time, the gestation period is less because so many other places already have everything up and running. So you can also start and go up and running soon enough. So when we are starting to build any capacity, I think it should be around these technologies, the more mature technologies. And there is a plethora of products that we can build around them. As we start to taste success, as we start to learn, improve the yields on these mature technologies, gain expertise in these mature technologies, that is when we will be able to actually work on more advanced technologies. So I'm not saying that we should not go to more advanced technologies. All that I'm saying is we should not aspire to start with the advanced technologies. We should start with the mature technologies, and then gradually we will see that advanced technologies will come in picture.
So you're saying that we should build the ecosystem and capacity first, and then go towards 5 nanometer, let's say.
Yes, more advanced R&D later.
More,
yes.
Yeah, got it. So when you look back almost 20 years ago, when you were just starting out your career, so what do you suggest Anuj sir 20 years ago when he's just starting out his career with any, I mean, career tips or any, in general, any tips that you want to tell him? What would you say him? What would you suggest him? The other way around, maybe
So
some of you are willing to suggest him the things that he shouldn't do, but he has done mistakenly. Were there any of such things that you want to suggest him, or in general, could you suggest those to our audience as well?
yeah, so frankly, I would say that I'm happy with whatever happened. I'm not a person who carries regrets and who thinks about the past too much. What has happened has happened. We can't change that. So I do not think of it like that. But now that you ask, if I reflect, I would say that probably I should have, I mentioned to you earlier that when we did that project on methodology design for self-timing, where we entered into statistics and started to look at circuits from a completely different perspective, that changed my approach to work, and I realized that I could publish papers and do all that while still working in the industry and so on. So I think that probably if you can, you should start to explore such opportunities early in your career. I could have done that, but there was not much guidance around that then. So I stumbled upon it accidentally. I would put it like that. So I believe that even while you are in the industry, there is an immense opportunity to publish. You already would patent when you are in the industry. So patenting would anyways happen, but publication should also and can happen. The intent of publication is not to have a long list behind you. The intent of publication is to be able to share what you know and help the overall ecosystem of knowledge become richer. So I think that if I had to relive a few years and had a foresight, I would have started to publish something, a few years earlier than when I did. So that is one thing. And again, publishing was not for the purpose of getting a paper out and my name on it.
So,
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Neeraj.
Yes, sir. So I hereby conclude this session. So thank you, Dr. Anuj sir, and thank you all for joining us today for this session. And we wish you good luck with your career, and we'll be back with yet another session on VLSI. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yes.